Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field for another EBTV high school sports presentation. Tonight, it's homecoming. Our football team takes on the Sayreville Bombers in a Greater Middlesex Conference Red Division game. I'm Kevin Brady, and I'm being joined by Rich Whalen to bring you tonight's game. So, Rich, we have Sayreville coming into this game with a record of 5-1. East Brunswick off to a strong start, however, fell in a tough game, 21-7 to South Brunswick last week. What do you think the mood of the team is coming into tonight?
Yeah, I think, we did the game the other day when they played JP, and they had a real tough loss where they lost on a field goal and ended up losing by a point. So I think that kind of had an effect on their game last week to a South Brunswick team that hasn't been playing that great this year. So this is big for East Brunswick. It's a homecoming game, have another home game, and they're going to have to pick it up because Sayreville's the second-ranked team in the Red Division, and like you said before, they're 5-1, and looking forward to the playoffs.
Yeah, we saw Sayreville's only loss to a very tough Piscataway team. Sayreville lost 20-8 a few weeks back, so they're working on getting their ship righted as they head forward. So as we get ready for play here, we're going to break away for a second, and we'll be back with the start of our ball game. We're back at J. Doyle Field as we get ready for the captains to come out and choose our sides. And we noticed before the game a pretty fierce wind out there.
Yeah, and you can see with the flags there how they're really going. And also, just watching in warm-ups, the players were slipping a lot. We had some rain earlier last night and earlier in the day. So that's going to be a factor as well tonight.
Yeah, and it's an interesting combination of the two because with the wind, that's probably going to affect the passing game, but the slick field could affect the running game as well. So I think keeping your footing obviously is going to be of primary importance to both teams tonight.
Exactly.
Your captains tonight, if you can see in the center there, that's quarterback Randall Nixon, number 7 for the Bears, and also Sergio Garcia, number 34, the fullback and defensive standout for East Brunswick. He's had a lot of strong tackles for a loss this year. He seemed to, especially in the Piscataway game a few weeks back, spent a lot of time in the Piscataway backfield, beating the running back to the ball sometimes on the handoffs.
He's been playing great.
They're going to need a big game from him tonight, obviously, to contain Sayreville's strong offense. Looking back last season, Sayreville defeated East Brunswick 21-0, and Sayreville, another playoff season. They have had 10 consecutive playoff seasons for the Bombers. So this is a team that knows what playoff football is all about, and they bring that intensity every week. East Brunswick's going to have to match that. East Brunswick, as you see, will defer their choice to the second half, so Sayreville will have first choice as to what they'd like to do with the ball. And the official going over the choices there. Looks like Sayreville's going to take the wind for the first half here. Sayreville's going to receive the opening kickoff in tonight's game, and we'll be going with the wind in the first half, so we'll get to see, or in the first quarter, so we'll get to see right away the effect of that breeze. We'll be seeing it on the opening kickoff.
Exactly, and Sayreville more than so in the past, just from looking at some of the box scores, they've been putting the ball up in the air a little bit more. Their quarterback, number 12, Mark Margris, had a nice year for them last year, and actually one of their wins against Woodbridge had a couple touchdown passes in the fourth quarter to have them come back and beat Woodbridge by 1 point. So it'll be interesting to see the strategy they use tonight.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a balanced attack from East Brunswick. I think last week they threw the ball perhaps more than they had hoped to, but perhaps a function of falling behind in the South Brunswick game. I know they had some turnover problems as well last week.
Yeah, last week their first possession, actually, they had a turnover and gave South Brunswick a short field, and they scored. So, as every team, but especially the way East Brunswick has been playing, they need a good start to the game here.
And I think a South Brunswick team, as you're saying, coming into that game struggling for wins, hadn't had a lot of success in the season. Sometimes that early turnover really starts, takes an inexperienced team and helps them start on the right foot right away and gives them confidence. And I think East Brunswick perhaps playing from their heels at the start, from the start of that.
Yeah, and then we kind of saw that the Piscataway game, not so much the turnover, but East Brunswick took the opening kickoff against Piscataway and scored. And, we're in that game the whole first half. And, unfortunately for East Brunswick in the second half, Piscataway turned it on. But you give that team a little confidence and, it lets them stay in the game.
Sure, and if you saw on the field on our screen there, we saw Coach Borden a little upset to start the game. I think there was a problem on the choice there. East Brunswick had deferred choice. Sayreville, it appears, not only will receive the ball, but also receives a preferential side. And it looks like Coach Borden was quite upset about that development. Either there was some miscommunication between the captains and the official, or between the coach and the captains, but I think that he's not happy that they're starting both kicking and going into the win.
You're right, yep.
But as we get set to start off here, we'll see if East Brunswick can get Sayreville back on their heels. And it's going to be a little bit of a squib kick to start the game, and it's pitched back to a deep man from Sayreville who pushes through the middle, stacked up nicely by the center of the East Brunswick kickoff defense team. That was number 33 for the Bears in on the tackle. That's Justin Price who had his hands in there.
And that was number 34, Rasheem Clark, who is the main back for Sayreville. Last year he had over 800 yards rushing and only played in 8 games, so he's someone to look for tonight.
Yeah, and that explosive ability, is going to be on demand here in the slick conditions, as you mentioned. If a defender falls, it could be 60 yards. Sayreville takes over 1st and 10 from their own. It looks like the 39, just shy of the 40. It's number 21 for Sayreville, testing the left end. He's already into the East Brunswick backfield, tripped up by number 30 for East Brunswick. That's Bobby Taco on the tackle. 21 for Sayreville was Michael Knight on the carry.
And I'm sure a lot of teams have trouble, but East Brunswick, when they have that back that they face that has a lot of speed, they seem to have a lot of trouble with that this year, containing them.
Yeah, there was one play in the Piscataway game a few weeks back. Their star running back who actually changed direction 3 times on a 4th and goal from the 16. Changed direction 3 times. East Brunswick looked like they had him dead several times, but he was able to squeak through and score a very decisive touchdown in that ball game. Sayreville doing a lot of shifting up front here as they balance their backfield. They're going to test the right end this time and tripped up nicely. That was number 26 for East Brunswick, Randy Varbelow in the Sayreville backfield. A tackle for a loss of 1 on the play. 2nd and 11 for the Bombers. Did you see who that was on the carry? Was that Knight again on the side?
That was number 34. That was Rasheem Clark.
That was Clark, who you mentioned, yes. And you can see they're trying to run around, and it looks like right away they're testing the edges of the East Brunswick defense. Sayreville back to pass here, a diving attempt here, but it's going to fall out of bounds. That'll be an incomplete pass. Quarterback Mark Margris with the attempt there down the left sideline.
And that was number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez, and that's the main target for Sayreville, the wide receiver there. So we'll have to keep our eyes on him.
And again, I think you're seeing early on Sayreville going at the edges again. 2 running plays around the edge, a pass at the edge. Perhaps Sergio Garcia on film in the center of that East Brunswick defense has already forced their offense to make a couple choices about running away from him and getting to the edge.
Right.
Back to pass, Margris again, looking deep this time. And a little 10-yard out pattern. Looks like it was caught near the edge of the sideline, and it is caught. Number 5, I believe. Oh, perhaps not. Number 7, you're right, that was Ronaldo Rodriguez, as you mentioned. A very similar play to the one before.
Yeah, it was exactly the same. The only thing different there was he knew where the sticks were, and as the defender there for East Brunswick, you got to know where those sticks are, and try not to let him get that first down there.
Sayreville Bomber first down at the East Brunswick 30-yard line. Good little drive here for the Bombers to start the game. That's number 21 testing the left side of the East Brunswick defense. 21, Michael Knight on the carry. Stopped perhaps a short loss on the play, at the very least no gain.
And just to get to your point also about, Sayreville testing the edges, one thing East Brunswick needs to do a good job of is their ends to make sure to contain and not let them outside. And we've got a face mask on East Brunswick.
Yeah, penalty on the play, and that's going to be unfortunate because East Brunswick had done their primary job there. Stop them for a short game or a loss on first down, put them into a passing situation there, but instead that'll be a 5-yard penalty, and first down is repeated, so 1st and 5 for the Bombers from just outside the East Brunswick 25-yard line.
And this is one thing early on, as you said in the opening, East Brunswick got off to that good start. You didn't see these type of penalties from the Bears.
And confidence early game obviously is a primary concern, especially coming off of the tough game. There's a fumble on the play. It looks like, now East Brunswick looks like they're on it. It looked like Margaret had got it back initially, but then an East Brunswick player jumped in late. The ball was still there. All of the East Brunswick players very excited, and there's the signal. First down for the Bears. Let's see who that is, and it's number 33 for the Bears. Number 33 is Justin Price with the recovery. A fumbled snap by Margaret. You saw him pull back real quick on that and realize right away he didn't have it clean. The ball loose for a moment, and Price jumped in a little bit late. The ball stayed on the ground for a little while before the Bears were able to jump on it. So good break for the Bears.
Yep.
Now we're going to get our first look at the East Brunswick offense. Randall Nixon from the shotgun. 5 receivers in the pattern. However, nothing develops quick enough. He will be sacked on the play. Christopher Robinson from Sayreville, number 89 in the Bear backfield. And it looked like a pattern like that when you send 5 receivers out, it's got to be a quick decision, and you're hoping in that situation one of the 5 will initially get open and give you a chance, because you're not going to have as much blocking protection there, and that broke down quickly. And I think Randall would have liked to make a quick decision, but if he was looking at one person not open, perhaps better to take a 1-yard loss than put a ball up into coverage. Nixon takes a snap, and a little shuffle pass up the middle that time. Breaks 1 tackle, but tripped up. I think that was number 34 for the Bears. Yep, 34, Sergio Garcia on the little shuffle pass up the middle. Pickup of 2, a short gain for the Bears. 3rd and 8 for East Brunswick from their own 26-yard line. Nixon spending a lot of time in the shotgun on this opening drive. Nixon back to pass again. And now he finds a hole as he darts past the defensive line of Sayreville. He's going to be short of the first down, though. It looks like he was to about the 31 or 32-yard line. Still going to be 3 yards short there.
And you like to see, if you're East Brunswick, you get a break, you get a turnover. You'd like to at least get 1 first down, move the ball, get into a little rhythm, get your, have your defense rest up a little bit. But they're, going to have to be right back on the field here.
And I think seeing the shotgun formation from the Bears there, I thought one of the things I was most impressed earlier this season in the Piscataway game, Randall Nixon's ability to run against Piscataway, nice decisions on the option, was able to march down on the first drive. There's the East Brunswick punt, a tough punt as it spins down inside the 40 to about the 36. It's going to be a nice field position gain for East Brunswick there, pinning them not deep back in their own zone, but at least the punt gets up and out of there. It looked like a punt of about 29 yards, which is not a bad punt in high school football.
Exactly, and especially, Sayreville has been known for years to have good returners, so you don't have to worry about a return there as well.
And that's going to be part of dealing with the wind tonight, is going to be making sure you get that kick away. It's going to be tough to catch a punt and a kickoff, perhaps. So taking advantage of the wind by hitting a low-driven punt. Number 21 for Sayreville, testing the left side. He's through to the East Brunswick linebacker. Looked like Sergio Garcia. No, perhaps that was number 86. 86 for the Bears. That's Russ Dubov with the tackle. A gain of 3 yards. Make it 4 for Sayreville. 2nd and 6.
It's really been similar plays Sayreville has been running each time with the run. They've, given the ball to either Knight or Clark on the wing there, kind of like a counter play.
Sure, that Delaware wing tee approach, or they get the motion running one way, find the edge, and then look to hit a little quick hitter, and you see it developing again there. 21 again for Sayreville. That's Knight. stacked up this time by the East Brunswick defense. It looked like number 86 for the Bears in there. Dubov again leading the charge of Bears tacklers. Let's give him a 2-yard gain there. Brings up 3rd and 4. And a big 3rd down play now.
Yep, Sayreville had a big 3rd down conversion before, and they looked to get the ball to Rodriguez in the air. Thing I like about East Brunswick there was they did a nice job containing. Sometimes what happens is you don't make the play as a defensive player, but you force them inside where you get help, and sometimes that's tough to do.
And you see the strength of those inside linebackers by East Brunswick with, well, it was Dubov on the last couple, but you see Taco, also Garcia in there. And there's the wet field coming into play. There's for Sayreville, number 12, Mark Margres, looked to roll to his right, slid down for a big loss on the play, loss of 7 yards.
And he had Rodriguez open, same little out route. And maybe if you're Sayreville there, you know, maybe take East Brunswick's, what East Brunswick is doing, and maybe go in a shotgun where you're already back there. You don't have to worry about slipping like he did there. Yeah,
it looked like the biggest struggle was simply setting his feet. It looked like he saw his receiver open, but by the time he tried to set his feet just slipped out from under him. So Sayreville's on to punt here. East Brunswick defense holds this time without yielding a 1st down. Fumbles the snap for a moment, but gets it back and hits a nice punt, again using the wind, and this is going to take a Sayreville Bombers bounce to inside. Well, perhaps it stops right at the 10-yard line. So East Brunswick now is going to be in a little bit of a field position hole, 1st and 10 from their own 10-yard line.
Probably lost at least 20 yards there by not being able to field that punt.
And that's that 1st quarter wind advantage that we talked about. Now East Brunswick has to worry about not only the slick field, but perhaps a slick ball. This may take away also some of their flexibility for play calling here. Perhaps have to be a little more conservative starting from their own 10-yard line. And you're going to see a little bit of a full house backfield here. 3 backs in the East Brunswick backfield. As Nixon under center. Nixon with a little option, tries the right side, slips forward for about a gain of a yard. Number 54 for Sayreville, that's Frank Velarde in on the tackle. And that was the play, talking a few moments ago, that was the play against Piscataway that he was able to repeatedly slice forward for 8-9 yards a pop on that first drive that really got the Bears started on the right foot. I've been talking a lot about that Piscataway game, but that was a game that East Brunswick against one of the top teams in the state really made a strong statement about the type of team they can be when they play their best. Here's Nixon back, rolling out, looking deep down the sideline. The ball is going to be ruled incomplete. It looks like it was caught as the receiver was falling out of bounds. A group of about 3 Sayreville defenders brought him out of bounds on that play, but it was ruled out of bounds and incomplete.
That play just took a while to develop there. You know, I think Eckhart was open for a while. By the time he got the ball, he drifted out too close to the sideline.
And it looked like it looked slow developing in a way, because even it was deceptive in a way for a moment there too, because it looked like the fullback perhaps had the ball on the draw, but Nixon took his time, set his feet,
yep,
and made a good throw downfield. Perhaps the throw led the receiver out of bounds too much. And here's Nixon on a 3rd and 9. Now the tough situation for the Bears. And a handoff up the left side. That's Bobby Taco on the carry, number 30 for the Bears. A gain of 5, so it gets them some
little bit of breathing room,
right? A little bit for the punt. Yeah, that will help a little bit. But 4th and 5, another possession though without an East Brunswick 1st down. Number 34 for the Bears is Sergio Garcia, setting up to punt.
Look how shallow the returner for Sayreville, if he could just get it over his head a little bit.
Almost did it. 21 for Sayreville on the punt return is Michael Knight, testing left side. You have a penalty marker on the flag. This perhaps could be a few penalty markers, actually, more than one on the play.
I saw one illegal block in the back.
Well, that penalty could do the job of the punt that didn't go over his head. Maybe that will be the 15 yards, the extra 15 yards that East Brunswick needed on the kick. We'll have to see the officials getting together to discuss both penalties. Again, they were thrown in different areas of the field, too, which leads you to believe that there were 2 different penalties on the play.
And I missed the number, but the East Brunswick player had a pretty good hit there on the tackle.
Let me see the official signal. There's the signal for the illegal block.
This might be a repunt here.
Yeah, the penalty's offset. It remains 4th down. The face mask against East Brunswick on the tackle. The illegal block against Sayreville at the start of the play.
That's why they have the, if you can see on the screen, that's why they have the people on the chain stay where they are. I did that in college, and a couple times I went before the play was over and messed up where the ball was, but that's why they have them stay in case there's a penalty.
Now East Brunswick's going to have another chance. We saw a good snap there on that, and Sergio Garcia was able to get a good foot into the ball, and it really did nearly go over Knight's head there. He made a nice catch on that, but you can see you're only going to get about 25 yards distance on a punt tonight, even on a good strike. Garcia awaiting the snap. Slightly high snap there, but Garcia has no trouble handling it. This punt received on the 46-yard line. Big block on the play as Knight tries the left side. He's forced out of bounds eventually, but a big difference. Those penalties are going to be a little bit costly there because Sayreville is going to take over inside the East Brunswick 25-yard line. 1st and 10, it appears to be right at the 23 of the Bears.
Yeah, number 86 on Sayreville had a tremendous block there, and you know, again, East Brunswick penalty, you know, kind of negates what would have been, you know, obviously field position a lot worse for Sayreville there.
Sure, probably 20 yards. That was Mark Dobizeski on the block for the Bombers. 1st and 10, Sayreville at the East Brunswick 23. Margaret's the quarterback. Sayreville rotating, a little misdirection play here, testing the right side, and a nice tackle there by East Brunswick. That was 34 for the Bombers. That was Rasheem Clark on the carry, and he was tackled by number 34 for the Bears, Sergio Garcia, picking up the tackle. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for the Bombers from the 23.
And East Brunswick's defense, other than that first run and maybe that pass that they gave up on that 3rd down, has done a really nice job keeping East Brunswick in this game.
And they have been playing in their own end. Sayreville, at least initially, has the field position edge. East Brunswick's got to try to hold them off as long as they can. Now, another fumbled snap, and the ball is loose again in the backfield. East Brunswick is on it again. Another fumble by Sayreville. Looks like 72 for the Bears. Number 72 is Chris Santiago. Chris Santiago with the fumble recovery. East Brunswick will take over once again, 1st and 10. Big play for the Bears.
Big play, and if that was maybe a D-back or someone else, they might have tried to pick that ball up and run, but Chris did the right thing there and just fell on it, make sure you have possession.
Well, Chris Santiago's on his way to a big night because we've heard that he will be named Homecoming King tonight, so quite a night for Chris Santiago. Nixon with the pitch to Garcia. Garcia gain of perhaps 1 yard on the play out to the 31 of the Bears.
And I don't know if we caught that on camera, but he took one heck of a hit by number 89 on Sayreville. So even though he got rid of the ball, he took a big hit.
Yeah, that was Chris Robinson for the Bombers. 2nd time we've said his name tonight. And East Brunswick's now going to have to start to pick up some yards and sustain at least some ball possession because their defense, as you mentioned, has been on the field for much of the 1st quarter. Nixon in the shotgun again. A little misdirection there. Fake the handoff up the middle. And they're trying around the end. 54 for Sayreville with a nice tackle. That was number 30, Bobby Taco on the carry. 54 for Sayreville was Frank Velarde on the tackle. Loss of 2 by Taco. 3rd and 11 now for the Bears from their own 29.
And East Brunswick is having difficulty kind of solving this defense. Anything they've been trying, the little delays, you know, throwing the ball, they haven't had much success here.
And you can see that could be part of the footwork. You can see it takes an extra second to get their feet set. Nixon now on the pass to the right side, a little screen pass. He has it room up the middle. He's breaking outside. He could at least be on for a big game. That's Eckhart, I believe, and he's pushed out of bounds. Number 28 for East Brunswick, Eric Eckhart, with a big reception. It was a little screen pass on the right side, and Eckhart took the ball through the middle and all the way across the field down to the Sayreville Bomber 30-yard line. Let's give him a gain of 50 yards, and there's a field position and perhaps a momentum changer for the Bears.
Big time, and I was just thinking to myself, you know, Eric Eckhart has had some big games for East Brunswick that, you know, you might want to try and think and get him the ball a little bit, and he did a lot of that on his own, and he did pick up some nice blocks on the way as well.
Yeah, he's a nice sized target for Nixon there, and that was exactly what the Bears needed on third down. And now Nixon again in the shotgun from the 30. Looking to his left, throws, lofts high. I believe it's Eckhart again, inside the 5, forced out of bounds at the 2-yard line. That was Randall Nixon to Eric Eckhart, a gain of 27 yards and an East Brunswick Bears first down.
And it's good to see Eric back. He, the last game I was here, JP, he had a little bit of an injury where they had to cart him off. But I know they have number 24 on Sayreville guarding him one-on-one, and he's, I don't know what it says in the program, but he has to have a few inches on him at least. Yeah,
Levon Graham is 5'6", whereas Eckhart, quite the target at 6 foot. So 6 inches. You can see them looking to take advantage of that. Coach Marcus Borden identifying that mismatch right away and making the Bombers pay. Nixon now up the middle on a quarterback draw. He's close to the goal line, waiting for a signal from the side. I believe he's just short as they mark him down inside the 1, perhaps the half-yard line.
And I think he did the right thing there. I thought for a minute he was going to try to put the ball across, but I don't think he was quite close enough to try that.
And in this field position, be safe. Right. You're in scoring position here. Perhaps on the next play or so, a little dive up the middle could yield that touchdown. You don't want to make a mistake, stick the ball out, and have it knocked away. We've seen that at every level, college level, high school level, pro level. Anyone can make that mistake. Now here's Nixon under center, and he's going to try to follow the center, and he's into the end zone, I believe, and there's the signal. Touchdown, East Brunswick.
Great surge there by the offensive line, and you know they don't always get the credit, but they did a nice job of giving Nixon a path and pushing into that defensive line.
And you saw Nixon showed some patience on that play too, because the snap came to him. He took a moment, let his line get a good push, and they did create some space right up front from Sayreville, drove the Sayreville defensive line back, and Nixon just then found his hole, dove forward, and picked up the 1-yard touchdown run. Score now, East Brunswick 6. Sayreville 0, and now on to try the extra point is number 4 for the Bears. That's Ryan Ross. The snap, the place, the hold. It's a short kick and not quite going to get there. It's going to be short, a little bit wide to the right. And with 6 seconds remaining in the first quarter, East Brunswick 6, Sayreville 0. So how about that for a momentum change in the 12th minute of that first quarter? If the first 11 minutes looked one way, the last minute looked a little bit different.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and like you said, they found an advantage with Eric Eckhart and got him the ball. He made a big play on the screen, and then they utilized his height advantage a little bit. So Sayreville's got to have to adjust. Are they going to keep number 24 on that side? Or are they going to have a safety over the top to help out? So East Brunswick gave Sayreville some things to think about defensively on that drive.
And you saw Marcus Borden talking to his troops right before the kickoff here, and look at how that worked out the first quarter. We had the miscommunication. Coach Borden was clearly not happy with the direction that East Brunswick was kicking to begin the game, but now he's escaped the first quarter into the very stiff wind, and he has a 6-0 lead as he goes to the end, as he goes to switch sides.
And maybe the only thing he's a little upset, and I don't know if really how much the wind had to do with it, that extra point that East Brunswick has had some trouble with, but I'm not even sure if that was kind of I don't think the wind had much to do with that. I just don't think it was hit cleanly.
Yeah, it looked like Ross was under it a little bit. You saw that kind of a strong underspin on that kick, and you can see the breeze has an effect even right now as they set up the kickoff. This is number 82 for the Bears lining up to kick off, Lucian Eskra. Number 21 for the Bombers, Michael Knight on the kickoff return. And that marks the end of the first quarter of play. So the teams will change sides here. The Bombers taking over from their own 34-yard line, 1st and 10 for Sayreville. First quarter, pretty good result, I think, so far for the Bears.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, East Brunswick, like you said, until the last couple minutes of that quarter, Sayreville was really dominating play. East Brunswick hadn't had a first down until that last drive, and Sayreville's really just been shooting themselves in the foot. They had a turnover earlier when they were driving. East Brunswick got the ball, driving again, fumbled the ball, and East Brunswick was able to take advantage of the second fumble and drive down for a touchdown. So if you're Sayreville on the sideline, you just have to take care of the ball really right now. They've been able to move the ball, but if you turn the ball over, you see the result.
And those two Sayreville fumbles, nearly identical positions on the field, both right inside the 30-yard line, between the 20 and the 30-yard line, gave East Brunswick the ball there and took away the Sayreville momentum. The momentum that Sayreville had generated early on has quickly disappeared with the result of the two fumbles. And again, it all comes back down to that 3rd and 9 play where he hit Eckhart on the screen.
Yep.
Because it didn't look good up until that moment, and then suddenly how much a game can change on one play.
Exactly.
You can see our East Brunswick Bears cheerleaders battling the wind. I just saw a group of pom-poms go flying by the wind, but here's Sayreville to begin the second quarter of play. Looks like number 34 around the right end. Chased down by 30, forced out of bounds by number 30 for the Bears. That was Bobby Taco with the tackle. Rasheem Clark for Sayreville on the carry. Gain of about 4 yards. 2nd and 6 for the Bombers.
And you saw Clark's good speed there. That East Brunswick's player looked like he had a good angle on him, but wasn't able to contain him. So East Brunswick's got to be careful, because just like Eckhart had that big play, Sayreville is also capable of having, one play and turning into a big game.
Margus under center, 2nd and 6 for the Bombers from their own 38. A long count. Sayreville, a little misdirection here, up the middle. First time they've tried the, I guess you'd call him the fullback, the lone back in the Sayreville backfield. 1 yard gain for the Bombers, 3rd and 5 now, 3rd and a long 5, perhaps 6 for Sayreville. There's a little deception on that play, right? It was very hard to pick up who initially had the ball.
Yeah, it almost looked like a reverse where 21 had it and then gave it back up the middle.
And that's the first time we've seen them really try the middle of the East Brunswick defense. Back to pass. Margus throws a nice catch on the play. Number 7 for Sayreville was Ronaldo Rodriguez. Started actually slipping before he caught the ball. Reached up and held on. Nice catch by Sayreville.
Heck of a catch. And so far, that's really the only route we've seen Sayreville run, those little outs. And I'm sure Coach Boren is going to talk about that, but you also have to be careful that out and up later they might be setting that up as well.
It was an 8-yard reception and a Sayreville Bomber first down, 1st and 10 from their own 46 now as they near East Brunswick territory. A little bit of a different look in the wing tee this time. They run number 21 off the left side. He's got a burst of speed through the line of East Brunswick. Looked like finally brought down by number 38 for the Bears. That was Mike Kellerman on the tackle. 8-yard gain, though, on first down. And East Brunswick, I'm sure, feels they need to stop that kind of a pickup on first down.
Yeah, this gives Sayreville some options now here on what to run. You don't want to say this is a waste of a down, but you can do a lot of stuff here.
Margus now calling out signals. 2nd and 2. Number 34 in motion for Sayreville. East Brunswick was in the backfield, and it's going to be stopped for a loss. Number 76 for the Bears, Tom Correa, deep into the Sayreville backfield. Loss of 1, perhaps 2 on the play. 3rd and a long 3 now for the Bombers. That play never really got going.
No, and I think that was a generous spot as well. Like you said, I don't think Sayreville's going to have a lot of success running up the middle against East Brunswick.
And I tell you, if they want to go out wide, I think that's where the slick field is coming into play as well. We've seen them struggle with their footing a little bit. Sayreville now looking over a 3rd and 3. Margus calling the signals. Motion to the left. Handoff left. Tripped up by number 36 for the Bears. That was Knight. That was Michael Knight on the carry off the left side. I think that actually may have been 38 for the Bears. Mike Kellerman on the tackle. Another loss or perhaps no gain on the play. 4th down and 4 for Sayreville. Another good hold. We talked about the gain of 8 yards on 1st down, looking at 2nd and 2, and look at how the East Brunswick defense stiffened at that moment.
Yeah, they did a nice job, and I was kind of, after seeing the first play by Sayreville where they had that long, 20, 25-yard run, I thought it might be a long night for the defense, but they've done a heck of a job so far.
Yeah, they've been resilient. And we saw that in the first half of the Piscataway game, really holding probably the most explosive team, one of the most explosive teams in the state. They really helped Piscataway for the first half in that game. Punt by Sayreville, fair catch called for. That ball is loose. East Brunswick recovers. What a huge play here by number 38 for the Bears. Mike Kellerman falling on the fumbled punt. I believe it was number 30, Bobby Taco, who initially called the fair catch. The ball fell through him, and you can see how covered with mud his hands and his pants are. It's obviously very slick, very wet out there. The ball seemed to kind of get through him a little bit, but Kellerman heads up play, and that's a huge play for the Bears because it would have been 1st and 10 for the Bombers on the 20. Instead, Bears ball, 1st and 10 from their own 20. East Brunswick Nixon calling signals from the shotgun again. Motion to the left. Nixon going to try Garcia up the left side. Garcia breaks it outside. Now he's got some room. He's heading down the left sideline. In pursuit, holds up, takes a move. Number 7 by Sayreville throws him down. That was Ronaldo Rodriguez, their strong receiver, but not before Sergio Garcia with a pickup of, looks like 17 yards and an East Brunswick Bears 1st down.
And I like East Brunswick offensively. They're really mixing it up. Sometimes they're spreading Sayreville out. Sometimes they're, in the wishbone. And, I think Sayreville's a little bit off balance. I think the big thing with East Brunswick, too, is Sergio Garcia needs to get touches, and you need to try to get Eric Eckhart some touches. And, those are the guys that are going to make the plays for you. Yeah,
they've done that very nicely here in the first quarter and a half. Nixon now from the shotgun. Once again, back to pass. He looks deep downfield down the left side. Intended, I believe, for Garcia. The pass out of bounds. Some contact after the ball came down out of bounds. No flag on the play, though. Looking to try a deep pass there. Nixon for Garcia. Incomplete, 2nd and 10. Now, I tell you, I wonder if Coach Borden has made this decision because of the slick conditions, if that's why Nixon is spending a lot of time in the shotgun. This way he doesn't have to back up, doesn't have to roll out. Instead, has the whole field in front of him.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent. I always like that, as for quarterbacks, gives them a little bit more time, like you said, with the footing. He can survey the field a little bit easier.
Here's Nixon, takes a snap. Screen set up, but Nixon's pass falls incomplete. There was a lot of pressure there. It looked like they were waiting for the screen. Nixon looked like he was waiting for that screen to develop, and it never really did develop.
And that's a smart play by Nixon that Garcia was in the area. That's why it wasn't called for intentional grounding. But he was smart just to get rid of it, not take the sack.
Do you think that was close to grounding or not really?
The screen, he was in the vicinity. I think some referees might call it, but I thought it was pretty clear that it wasn't.
Nixon now on 3rd and 10 for the Bears. From their own 37, Nixon in the shotgun once again. Takes a snap. He's looking to his left. A lot of pressure now, and he's going to be sacked. Sacked in the backfield, a loss of 12 yards on the play. Sayreville's number 73, Luis Gavaca, in the Bear backfield. Big loss on the play, but I think Nixon was looking to make something happen on the play. He's got the wind here. If he's going to take perhaps better to take the sack than to throw something into coverage here, especially with the lead.
Right.
Give him a loss of 12. It's 4th and 22 for the Bears. And now we get to see our first punt with the win by East Brunswick's number 34, Sergio Garcia.
And East Brunswick gave up a punt return a couple weeks ago against JP, so got to be careful here.
What a wild few moments that was, right? With a couple of returns for a touchdown. And the ball's loose once again, and East Brunswick's on it. East Brunswick has recovered the fumble. Let's see who it is at the bottom. It's number 19 for the Bears, Matt Kronewski. Matt Kronewski, what a play. Another momentum changer here. And taking advantage of the wind, a deep punt. Kranuski hustled down the field, was in position. The ball bounced off the Sayreville receiver's shoulder pad right down to the ground. Kranuski jumped on it before the Sayreville player could recover.
And if you're the coach of Sayreville, you just have to be shaking your head a little bit here, because not that East Brunswick, it doesn't have anything to do with it, but Sayreville's just kind of giving the ball away.
Number 34, Sergio Garcia, up the middle, looks to bounce it, but he's unable to. Stopped on the play. Short gain. Looked like number 77 for Sayreville. That was Don Wojtasek with the stop. Gain of, well, let's give him a gain of 1 yard on the play. 2nd and 9 for the Bears, the 33.
And there's something to be said also for Sayreville. You have these turnovers, it kind of takes the life out of you a little bit. You can just kind of see with their body language a little bit.
And we talked earlier about East Brunswick's defense being on the field the whole time. Now it's happening to Sayreville. Nixon pass up the middle. He's got a wide open Bobby Taco. And he spins down near the 10-yard line. That was number 7 by Sayreville, Ronaldo Rodriguez, perhaps with a touchdown saving tackle. Taco found the seam in the Sayreville zone. A big gain on the play. Looked like 18 yards and another East Brunswick Bears first down from the 12-yard line of the Bombers.
And Coach Bourne before was to have a couple words for Nixon as he came off the field. I think one of those things was, you know, make a decision and go with it, and he did there.
Now again, once again, scoring position in the red zone. Nixon back to pass, looking to the left, throws. He had an open man, slightly overthrown. I think that was Eckhart.
Yep.
And you can tell Nixon loves that target, you know, especially in that mismatch, in that height mismatch. Second and 10 now for the Bears from the 12, maybe the 13-yard line. This is a big moment in the game for East Brunswick, I think, in a lot of ways. To get a second score here would put a lot of pressure on a Sayreville team that hasn't played poorly, other than the fact that they've turned the ball over.
Exactly.
Here's Nixon. Once again in the shotgun. He's under high pressure. Nixon rolls to the right, lofts it, has a man in the end zone. That was number 4, Ross, I believe, Ryan Ross. He was briefly open, but Nixon was under a lot of pressure. Lofted the ball high and over the outstretched arms of Ross.
Yeah, it looked like that ball floated a little, and I think Ross kind of mistimed it a little bit. Would have been a tremendous catch if he was able to come up with it.
See a timeout on the field. A timeout called by Sayreville, so trying to set their defense for what can be a very big 3rd and 10 here from the 12-yard line.
And I think if you're East Brunswick, you know, I think this is 2-down territory here. I think with how the kicking game hasn't been great for East Brunswick here, you know, you're not going to be able to pin the ball much more than where it is now. So, you know, that kind of changes your play calling a little bit here. So if it's 2 downs, you don't have to get the first down here. You can maybe, if you want to, try running play or do something where you don't get past the stick. So I'm sure Sayreville is going over that and some of the options of what East Brunswick can do here.
Now, you don't think they'll try the field goal even with the wind? You don't think it's a question of wind on this? It's tough. It's a tough day to handle the ball. Clearly, it looks like with the wet field, perhaps a slick ball.
Right, the footing in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
definitely, I agree. Yeah, the field is slick, so you're talking Ross would have to set his foot, and that could be where the problem was on the extra point. Setting your foot on a slick field is quite difficult. Add the cold weather on the handle and the snap, and you might have a lot of potential things that could go wrong at that moment. And like you said, pinning them in here, I mean, at the very worst, Sayreville looks like they'd be taking over on the 12-yard line.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
Like you said, probably 2-down territory here as East Brunswick heads out onto the field. Nixon leads them out. Surprised Sayreville called a timeout there?
A little bit. You know, I thought maybe before they got in this area, kind of to calm them down, but I guess they wanted to go over a couple things, maybe, you know, regroup.
And maybe they saw the open man on that and they were trying to make an adjustment there. Here's Nixon again from the shotgun. Back to pass, 5 receivers in the pattern. Nixon has time. Now he rolls right. He's being pressured. He's trying to get the corner. He's not going to get the corner. Tackled out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Looked like Sayreville number 86 forcing him out. That was a Mark Tobazeski for the Bombers.
It looks like they're going to try a field goal here.
Well, maybe trying to take advantage of that wind and plus perhaps get that extra point back that they've lost. Well, let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, you see Ross, number 4, Ryan Ross out there. You see the flags here. It is a very stiff breeze, probably 30-mile-an-hour winds out there for what early on was a relatively calm day breeze-wise, but now it has really picked up in the last few hours.
I tell you, Coach Bourne has a lot of confidence here.
And Sayreville looks like they'll be pressuring hard this. Here's Ross. The snap is bad, but the snapper gets it, or the holder gets it down, but the kick is going to be short. Looks like they never really had a start on that with the snap not quite making it there cleanly. Really disrupted the timing of the play.
Well, if you're Sayreville a little bit, you did your job there. You got the ball back, and it's still a one-possession game here.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Sayreville, for all that's gone wrong, has perhaps the one thing they can be happy about at that moment is they still have down by just 6 points after really having a horribly unfortunate first half for them with all of the loose balls and the fumbles. Now Sayreville going into the wind, taking over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Quarterback Mark Margris looks over the East Brunswick defense, now settles in. Motion to the left. Margris gives to the deep back. Looked like number 30, Bobby Taco, on the tackle for East Brunswick. Gain of 3 yards for the Bombers, 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7 for Sayreville. Margris comes to the line. Sayreville's top receiver, number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez, out to the right-hand side, the only receiver on that side. Motion that way. And there's a fake. He's rolling, looking perhaps for Rodriguez, but he's going to be in trouble in the backfield. I think it was 19 Kranuski in the backfield, I'm not sure. Also number 72 for the Bears. 72 is Chris Santiago. Number 19, Matt Kranuski, both met at the quarterback. A big loss on the play.
And Sayreville, offensively seems they have a nice, a 4, 5, 6-yard gain, and then they go backwards. So haven't really, except for maybe that first drive, haven't really been able to put, something together without, a fumble happening or going backwards. So, have to find the rhythm here.
Motion to the left, 2 receivers now out to the left side. Marcus rolling that way, but a little misdirection, handoff up the middle, draw, and he's going to be stopped for a loss. The East Brunswick defense is really coming up big outside of those first 2 or 3 first downs that Sayreville picked up. I think that was number 72 for the Bears, Chris Santiago, once again in the backfield. Another loss of 3 that time, 4th and 16 or 17 for the Bombers. Time running down here in the second quarter of play, 3:30 and a ticking. East Brunswick is going to have the ball with good field position. One more chance to score perhaps in this second quarter. And the Sayreville punt now into the wind. This is number 10 for Sayreville, Bobby Woods. He takes a snap. It's a good one. The kick is up. And it's a pretty strong kick, driving Taco back to his own 43-yard line. He recovers his own fumble, turns it upfield. Gain of 5, perhaps, after recovering his own fumble. Nice job at the Sayreville kicker there, getting that ball out of trouble.
Just to get the ball off, East Brunswick had great pressure. Let alone he really got good foot on the ball.
And the Bears will take over 1st and 10 from their own 48-yard line. Again, another big drive, and I don't feel like we're calling all of these big drives, but they are. In a one-possession game here, East Brunswick has really had the more fortunate play, and perhaps the better play, especially defensively. But you'd like to have more than a 6-point lead heading into halftime.
Now the clock will come into play maybe a little bit on this drive.
Nixon now, a little flare out to the right, dropped by Bobby Taco. Looking upfield a little before he caught that ball. 2nd and 10 now, 2nd and 10 for the Bears from their own 48. Now, we talked about East Brunswick, their tough loss to South Brunswick last week. Their last home game was a 20-19 loss to J.P. Stevens, one of the more exciting high school football games you'll ever see. Up and back game, and now East Brunswick looking to really bounce back and put an end to this 3-game losing streak. Here's Nixon from the shotgun, looks downfield, throws. The pass incomplete, perhaps a misread there. One of the quarterback or one of the receivers not quite on the same page. You saw number 4 for East Brunswick. That was Ryan Ross, kind of with his hands up, trying to figure out what exactly happened on that play. You were at that J.P. Stevens game too as well. I mean, as good a high school football game again as you could see.
Yeah, it was great, back and forth. Unfortunately for East Brunswick, came up on the short end, but a lot of things, especially in the fourth quarter, happened. A kick return, punt return for a touchdown, kickoff return, a game-winning field goal. A lot of changes in momentum.
Nixon now from the shotgun. 5 receivers once again in the pattern. Pressure on the play. Throw. There's a penalty marker down on the play. The pass is complete.
And it's
complete to number 3.
Right on the sticks here.
That was Doug Fisher on the reception.
Looks like a face mask, the initial thing that I'm seeing.
Let's see. That's going to be a big call because I think he has enough for the first down there where they're spotting that ball. And it's a defensive holding call against Sayreville. So East Brunswick's going to get a first down here on a 3rd and 10. That was a nice catch, too, in between 2 Sayreville defenders, kind of draped all over him as he went up for that ball.
Good concentration.
Timeout on the field. Yeah, there'll be an official timeout for a measurement, and I think what Coach Borden is looking for here, if he has the first down, clearly he will take where the ball is now. If not, he takes the 5-yard penalty, which I believe, I'm not positive in high school if it does carry an automatic first down.
It is automatic first down, yep.
Sometimes it's a little tricky, so many differences with the rules between high school and college and NFL, which obviously so many people watch so much of. There is some differences.
I'm pretty sure it is. I could be wrong, but
looks inches short, the measurement.
Maybe not then, and maybe in high school it's not, but I thought it was.
You see a discussion here. It's an interesting 3-way discussion here. The referee is talking to the player, but Coach
really,
Borden, yeah.
What does Coach Borden want to do?
Coach Borden listening in and communicating. I think they're going to refuse the penalty. I saw a little hand gesture which suggested that by the East Brunswick captain.
So I was wrong. Obviously, then that penalty does not give you an automatic first down, or they would have. Oh, yes, it does.
Didn't they just decline the penalty and then give him the first down?
I don't know.
Actually, did he accept the penalty?
Maybe it's a 10-yard.
Yeah, maybe it was a 10-yard penalty, but they wanted to see if they would take the play or the penalty.
Was that the challenge flag?
Yeah, that's exactly. It's funny you said that, and that was running through my head also. It looks like Sayreville's gonna challenge. Now, obviously, we're kidding. There are no challenges in high school football, but
maybe with our crew here, the EBTV crew, we can get a replay for him up here. I
tell you what might have just happened here? You might see a penalty against the Sayreville sideline.
Either a sideline
or a illegal substitution.
Right. Or maybe just unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No, it just looked like they wanted a little clarification on what we were looking for a clarification on, why that ball moved forward 6 inches and a first down was given. But I think what happened was East Brunswick accepted the penalty as opposed to the initial play. All right, Nixon.
Double move.
Yeah, he had a chance at Eckhart. We've just received word from our staff that there was a sideline warning against Sayreville, perhaps protesting that call.
Right. Nice double move there by Eckhart. I think Nixon maybe got a little bit too cute where he tried to lead him instead of just getting the ball right to him there, because he was open. That would have been a big play for East Brunswick.
Second down and 10 now as Nixon comes to the line again in the shotgun. 5 receivers wide, and we've seen this all game. 5 receivers in the pattern, and Nixon obviously with not a lot of time because the Sayreville has been getting players into the backfield, but he's got a lot of players. Well, I spoke perhaps a little too soon as he's taken down there on the play. Number 79 for Sayreville in the backfield. That was Augustine Cisse. A loss of 5 yards. I'll make it 4. 3rd and 14 now. 3rd and 14 for the Bears.
I just noticed Sayreville has changed who they have on Eckhart. They moved number 24 to the opposite side and now have number 21 on the side of Eckhart, who I'd assume has a little bit more height.
Yeah, 21 is Michael Knight. A little bit more. 5'8", 180 according to our notes. Nixon now with motion to the left. He rolls, a lot of pressure coming here. Nixon leaps and throws downfield, intended for Eckhart, but that pass falls short. 3rd and 14, actually, that'll bring up a 4th and 14.
And Nixon has to be careful there. He's backing up and getting rid of that ball. If one of the Sayreville defenders hadn't fallen, that could have been a turnover, and that's something you do not want to do at this point in the quarter.
Yeah, sure, you're a minute and 30 from halftime. Don't make a negative play here trying to force something, especially with the lead. I'd like to ask you to make sure you stay with us for the marching band and homecoming at halftime. We have a minute and 32 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Penalty marker on the play.
Too many men on the field maybe here?
Looks like it might be, and that would be a huge penalty if it is against Sayreville.
It is. They have 12. I just did a quick count here.
I think in high school football, that's a 15-yard penalty and a first down, I think. We're going to find out. See how good my memory is. Nope, only 5 yards. 5 yards for illegal participation.
I think possibly in the NFL, it's like you get a possibly first down or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. I wonder if it happens to happen if it goes through the whole play with too many men on. Oh, beautiful kick there down the field. That ball is going to roll out of bounds at the 2-yard line, and now this brings into play East Brunswick's full complement of timeouts.
Right. Yep.
Sergio Garcia for East Brunswick, the East Brunswick punter, linebacker, running back. He's done a lot here so far tonight, and perhaps what could prove to be one of the biggest plays of the game so far, a punt out of bounds inside the Sayreville 5-yard line. Sayreville takes over 1st and 10 from their own 3.
And that's a great point you made there, Kevin, that East Brunswick does have all 3 timeouts here. So they stuff them here and able to get the ball back. They're going to be able to get the ball back with some time left if they use those timeouts.
Very tight formation here, unlike what we've seen most of the quarter. Handoff up the middle.
Should be a timeout immediately here.
Yeah, big scrum on the play. Timeout on the field now. As you mentioned, timeout called by East Brunswick. That'll be their first. It looked like that was number 21, Michael Knight, on the carry for the Bombers. Gain of 1, maybe 2 yards at the most. Looks like it's out just shy of the 5-yard line. And as you look at Coach Borden now, talking to his troops, what is he probably trying to impart to them at this moment?
Well, I think obviously he wants to stop them, but he also wants them to be aware that, you got to be ready for anything, and, don't take for granted that you're going to stop him here. Obviously, he's probably also going over that they have 2 timeouts, and he wants a timeout right after the play. But, these are important parts of the game. How you end halves is important. So, if East Brunswick can do this and stop Sayreville, they're going to get the ball back with a decent chance of scoring.
And you can tell Coach really wants to take advantage of the field position that he's had in this second quarter and the wind that he's had in this second quarter and see if he can get that second score.
Right. And I saw Coach Borden earlier when he was out here for the pregame. He had shorts on, but when he went in there, he decided to go with the pants. It has gotten a lot cooler out there.
You can see that this part of the field, you can see it on our screen there. This field, that area is very slick, very muddy. Handoff, testing the right side. Nice blocking on that play by Sayreville.
It's gonna be close to first down. I'm not sure.
Looks like just short. 3rd and 1, or perhaps less than 1.
Sayreville's in no hurry here. They're gonna.
That was interesting. East Brunswick called the timeout, but probably waited a lot longer than they wanted to. Maybe about 10 to 15 seconds ran off the clock that I'm not sure they wanted to. And that could be that momentary indecision on seeing if Sayreville had enough for the first down. Obviously, you do not want to call the timeout if Sayreville has the first down.
I guess in this point, though, you call even if they have the first down. Sayreville's probably going to kneel on it anyway. You kind of eat it anyway, so to speak. But we'll see if it has an effect at all if East Brunswick does stop them, if that extra 10 seconds does come back and hurt the Bears.
3rd down and 1. When we come back, it'll be Sayreville looking to pick up the first down, which would probably effectively take us to the end of the first half of play. I'm sure they wouldn't run another play if they do pick it up. In high school, is it a 25-second play clock? I think it is. Yes. Yeah. So they may have to snap it once more after that, but obviously wouldn't need to gain any yards off of that. So this becomes perhaps the last meaningful play of the first half. Quarterback Margris, again a tight formation. Motion to the right. Handoff testing the right side. It's number 21, Knight. He finds a hole, slips through for the first down. Sayreville picks up the first down there. Number 30, Bobby Taco for the Bears in on the stop. 7-yard gain. That's clearly enough for a Sayreville Bomber first down. And the clock begins to run now, and I think we're going to see the last play of the half right here. Sayreville probably will take a simple handoff or take a knee.
And if you said earlier in the first quarter, would Sayreville be happy being down 6-0? I'd probably say no, but from all that's developed, being down 6-0, if you're Sayreville, not in the worst shape that they could be in.
There's a handoff off the right side. It's Knight testing the right side, dances forward. He's still alive down the sideline and forced out of bounds eventually. Clock stops on the play because he is out of bounds. Number 76 for East Brunswick was Tom Correa, forcing him out. The clock is stopped with 1 second remaining in the first half. A 9-yard gain for Knight, and a second down and 1 yard, second down and 1 from the 29.
Got to be careful here if you're East Brunswick. You know, it's 1 second left. They might try to, throw one up, so you want to make sure you have a couple guys back here just in case.
Now you're talking about Sayreville perhaps being happy now with now they're going to take a knee here and move on to the second half. Once again, stay with us at halftime for the marching band and for our homecoming night festivities. The Sayreville quarterback, that's number 12, Mark Margris, taking the knee. That brings us to the end of the first half of the play. A strong half for the Bears. East Brunswick leads at halftime, 6-0.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to present the 2006 Homecoming Court. Special thanks to Megan Mastro Giovanni, the president of the Student Council, Mrs. Hassel, the advisor for the Student Council, as well as to Christie's Florists for their donations of all the floral arrangements for our Homecoming Court. We'd like to thank also all the students who participated in this week's Spirit Week activities, ending this week, or this day, with the homecoming decorating in the halls and gymnasium. I'd like to introduce first the sophomore attendants, Lily Dementrieva and Zach Giordano. Our junior princess and prince, Maggie Wentz and Bobby Taco, who is playing in tonight's game and unable to come out for the ceremony. And our senior class homecoming queen is Giovanna Gonzalez. And our senior homecoming king is Chris Santiago, and Chris is also playing in tonight's game and unable to attend the ceremony. Again, ladies and gentlemen, your 2006 Homecoming Court. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And thanks once again to the Student Council and to Christie's Florists for the floral donations.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field for our second half of tonight's ball game. It is the Sayreville Bombers at the East Brunswick Bears. East Brunswick with a 6-0 halftime lead. A 1-yard touchdown run by Randall Nixon is your only scoring tonight. That was set up by a 50-yard reception by Eric Eckhart. Took a little screen pass down the right side, rambled through the middle of the Sayreville defense all the way down inside the 5-yard line, setting up the touchdown. A missed extra point, perhaps the only flaw in that situation, and that's why we're 6-0 here at halftime.
Right, and then we see Coach Borden here getting the players ready, and Sayreville started with the ball in the first half, and East Brunswick is going to receive it here in the second half. So, you know, we've talked about an important drive, but East Brunswick would like to, take this kickoff and maybe have a little bit of a prolonged drive and keep Sayreville defense on the field a little bit here.
We've been mentioning a lot in the first half about the strength and the power of the wind, and Sayreville will be with the wind in the third quarter, which means for East Brunswick, they have the wind in the fourth quarter. And this game, if East Brunswick can get off to a strong third quarter start, should be a very tight contest all the way through. And East Brunswick is looking for a good, strong finish. We were here 3 weeks ago at the East Brunswick-Piscataway game, where East Brunswick took a 7-6 lead at halftime against Piscataway before Piscataway rallied to win that game 28-14. So as Sayreville gets ready to kick off, we'll see how this third quarter begins. And that's number 34, Sergio Garcia. Up the left-hand side, breaks a tackle at the 20. He's up across the 25, out of bounds at the 30. Forced out of bounds by Sayreville's number 84. For Sayreville, that is Christopher Lisa with the tackle.
You made a good point, Kevin. I'm sure that was one of the points that Coach Borden wanted to make at halftime to the Bears, that they were in a similar situation against, one of the better teams in the GMC. Up 7-6 against Piscataway, that, up 6-0, great first half, but it really means nothing now. You got to go and get the job done in the second half here.
We see Randall Nixon operating from the shotgun to begin the third quarter of play, much like the first quarter. Tough snap, that's high. Rick Nixon fakes the handoff, rolls right. He's under pressure, lofts deep, and out of bounds. Pass intended for number 3, Doug Fisher.
And there's a penalty here on the play.
Perhaps a hold or a late hit. It's a holding against East Brunswick, a 10-yard penalty. Now that's going to quickly take the good field position that East Brunswick, or the decent field position that East Brunswick started with, and create a little bit of a challenge now as we start the third quarter. And you mentioned the lead that they had, that East Brunswick had against Piscataway. I think they had a lead against J.P. Stevens as well.
Right.
I think that was a 13-3 halftime lead against J.P. Stevens. So now I'm sure what Coach Borden's looking for is 4 strong quarters to seal this Red Division victory for the Bears. But now it's going to be a challenge here as they're backed up to their own 10-yard line. First down and 29 for East Brunswick. Nixon from the shotgun. Fumbles a snap briefly. A screen pass. I believe that's Eckhart. And he's in the opening. And he breaks a tackle. He's up across the 40-yard line. That's going to be a 31-yard touchdown. 31-yard reception.
And that was the same play that you had mentioned, when we got back on the air here, that set up Nixon's touchdown earlier. And big night for Eckhart so far. If he could have got one more block there, he might have been gone.
And you saw the blocker was there, and the Sayreville defender, number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez, did a nice job avoiding the block and at least slowing Eckhart down for a moment, allowing him to be caught. Nixon from the shotgun fumbles a snap once again. This time, perhaps smartly falls on it because that ball started to bounce away from him.
And that's the third snap so far. There's been trouble. I think the first one, Nixon made a great play to get the ball. The last two just seemed like, just never got control of the ball.
Nixon, as he was walking off, looked like he was kind of favoring his hand. I wonder if he was hit on an earlier play or perhaps at the end of the first half of play. Because he, as you mentioned, has not looked comfortable on those first three snaps.
And I think maybe we can get a better look later. It looks like it's taped up a little. I don't know if that was from the start, his right hand tape like it is.
And that's his right arm, his throwing arm. Nixon, clean snap on that one, but not a clean play as he's met in his own backfield.
They were trying to set up that shuffle pass that they did earlier, but I think Nixon probably made the right decision there not to even to attempt that.
That was number 89, Christopher Robinson for Sayreville, who was deep in the East Brunswick backfield. Big loss on the play. Third down and 17, perhaps 18 for the Bears from their own 32-yard line.
And if you're East Brunswick here, you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to turn the ball over here either.
Nixon looking right, lofts it up. The pass falls incomplete, intended for number 3. That was Doug Fisher, the receiver. Nixon's pass overthrown, and ball was perhaps out of bounds at on that attempt. And there was good coverage on the play from the Sayreville defender. That was perhaps the only place he could throw that ball. And that brings up a 4th and 17, and East Brunswick will be on to punt. Garcia, deep for East Brunswick as he gets set up. You can see the mud perhaps encrusting his whole uniform at this point. This will be a muddy finish to tonight's game. The rain has stopped, but the muddy field definitely is still in effect. This punt is really held up by the wind. It's going to bounce out of bounds, actually down on the East Brunswick side of the field. A 17-yard punt rolls dead at the 49-yard line of the Bears. And Sayreville will take over with very strong field position here with 9:32 remaining in the third quarter.
Garcia was real close there. He had to bend over for that ball. He almost looked to me at least that his knee almost hit the ground. And in high school and college, if your knee hits the ground, whether or not you are touched, you are down there. So got to be careful of that for the future.
Now Sayreville started the first quarter today with some strong runs. Let's see how they begin the third here. It's a pitch. And deep in the backfield, Sergio Garcia knifes through the Sayreville offensive line. We've seen that so much this season. Garcia just really tormenting the he just seems so quick. He's through that line before the blockers can set up. That was number 2, Adam Curry on the run for Sayreville, a loss of 5 yards.
I think that's a new name. I don't remember calling that name so far this game.
Now, I wonder if that's an adjustment Coach George Najar is looking to make here as we move later in the ball game. 2nd and 15 for Sayreville. We see Curry, who we mentioned before, goes out as a receiver now on the left-hand side. And here's a pass looking for Curry, but now he turns. Open man in the middle. The pass falls incomplete. A hit slightly late by Taco. You want to be careful on a play like that. The ball was already overthrown and incomplete. Taco, and I don't think it was. I think it was a clean play, but you just don't want to give a referee a chance to make a throw flag on that play.
Exactly. Look, East Brunswick got good pressure. Looked like maybe Sayreville got away with a hold as well. I heard some fans yelling for a hold.
Third down now, 15 for Sayreville from their own 45-yard line. Another passing situation for the Bombers, who find themselves tonight in more passing situations than they may have thought initially in the game. Garcia on the blitz. The pass is incomplete. The Sayreville pass intended for number 21, Michael Knight, falls incomplete. Strong pressure on the play. A blitzing linebacker was number 34, Sergio Garcia. He was in the quarterback's face. Quarterback Mark Margris. He was in, Garcia was in his backfield quicker perhaps than he wanted, and that screen never really developed.
Yeah, even if they completed that number 26 for the Bears, Randy Varbola was right there, ready to make the stop. He's had a nice game tonight.
This Bears defense that Coach Warden has employed today has been fantastic and really has forced Sayreville backward as often as they've gone forward. The Sayreville punt is downed at the 23-yard line of the Bears. That was number 24 for Sayreville, Lavone Graham, who downed the ball. East Brunswick will take over now. 1st and 10 from their own 23. 8:27 remaining in the third quarter. This becomes now a time of possession series for the Bears as they hope to, as I'm looking at the flags once again, really whipping here at J. Doyle Field. East Brunswick probably wants to use some clock and get to that fourth quarter. Well, they'll have the wind advantage, especially in the kicking game. I think that's where it's most important. The snap barely makes it back to Nixon, but he does a nice job to receive it, looking for the screen pass. It's caught and then dropped. Falls incomplete. The pass intended for number 21, Peter Zhang. First time we've said his name offensively in this game.
And he's been someone that the Bears have used a little bit more often leading up to this game. So.
And I think in the past games that I've seen him on some end arounds, running the ball. And to speak frankly, East Brunswick hasn't run the ball many times at all tonight. No. They've been in this 5 wide receiver set in the shotgun, looking to really use Nixon's ability to make quick decisions, quick reads, and quick attacks with the pass. Nixon from the shotgun. That's Zhang in motion to the right. Nixon rolls to the right, shakes a tackle, throws, incomplete. The pass intended, or in the area of Doug Fisher. Perhaps Nixon may have been throwing that one away also. He was under some pressure. Are you surprised East Brunswick isn't running the ball more? I mean, we saw some early attempts, and Sayreville was up to the task of defending them. Perhaps that's the main reason. Yeah,
and East Brunswick looked early in the game. You know, they had a possession where they kind of went out of this spread formation and ran it a little bit. So I think before the game's over, I think we'll see him run the ball a little bit more.
Again, Zhang in motion. Nixon rolls to the right now, looks back left, throws. Looks like they were setting up a screen for Garcia. 34 was on his way into the flat area. However, I think Nixon had to get rid of the ball before the play truly developed.
Yeah, screen, you do want it. It takes a little time to develop, but if it takes that long, part of screen is your offensive line lets the defensive line get in there, so it can't take as long as it did there.
East Brunswick now in punt formation. 8:05 remaining in the third quarter.
And one thing these passes do is the clock is not moving, so there's still over 8 minutes left in this quarter.
Yeah, that's my main concern here is I was hoping East Brunswick would pick up a first down or two to help run the clock. A low kick now by Garcia, but perhaps effective. A low-driven kick and maybe out of bounds at about midfield. Well, actually, it looks like the spot is not going to be as fortunate for East Brunswick. It's going to be down inside the 45. So Sayreville will take over 1st and 10 from inside the East Brunswick 45-yard line. And the pressure once again will be on the East Brunswick defense. And honestly speaking, it stood up very well to the task right now of defending Sayreville.
And if Sayreville had any, I don't want to say tricks up their sleeve, but if they had anything here, this might be the, possession to maybe try something.
They hand, this is number 2, who we saw initially at the start of the third quarter. Number 2, Adam Curry. There was a loose ball on the play, the official pointing it down, ruling that Curry's knee was down before the ball came loose. Give him a gain of a long 2, 2nd and 8 now for Sayreville from the East Brunswick 42-yard line.
Although he didn't make the play there, number 26, Randy Varbalo, again did a nice job of containing and forcing the running back inside.
And you can see they're not letting them get the edge, and that's what Sayreville wants to do. 3 receivers wide to the right. The quick pass complete. I believe that's Rodriguez. Number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez on the quick screen out to the left. Little wide receiver screen there.
And I think that's a nice play for Sayreville to run. We saw in the Piscataway game where Piscataway did that with their playmaker, Fox, where East Brunswick had some trouble defending that. So, I think that's something maybe Sayreville will look to do a little bit more often.
And you saw Sayreville had 2 receivers over there and then ran motion in that direction, giving them really 2 blockers for the receiver. So they set that up nicely. And they're stacked out to the left again. Sayreville running that way this time. It's number 21, Knight. Big gain on the play on first down. I think that was either Varbalo or Eckhart on the tackle. Gain of 7 yards. 2nd and 3 for the Bombers at the 23-yard line of the Bears.
Sayreville has a little momentum right now.
Big gain on first down helps cause that momentum. Number 21, Knight, shakes a tackle in the backfield, spins forward toward the sideline. He's down inbounds close to the first down, and actually he looks like he will have the first down for Sayreville.
First down, Sayreville.
Number 40 for East Brunswick coming off the field. That was Ray Bryan with a little substitution, perhaps a positional substitution here as Sayreville gets inside the red zone for, I believe, the first time tonight. Here's number 21, Knight, again on the 3rd straight carry off the left side. A 5-yard pickup. Looks like he's down to the East Brunswick 15-yard line. Let's give him a gain of 4 yards. 2nd and 6. 2nd and 6 for the Bombers from the 15-yard line.
Sayreville's running a lot of plays to the left side, even though that's been the short side of the field the last few plays. They might see something that they like or a matchup that they like over there.
Number 21, once again, as you said, that's running to the left, Michael Knight. This time stopped for a loss of 1 yard on the play. It's funny that you say that, talking about the short side of the field. Watching my brother grow up and play football in Old Bridge at Madison Central High School, I used to always watch Coach DeMarco run plays toward his side of the field just so he, as the coach, was closer to his huddle to be able to yell instructions to the huddle, which I think is very interesting in high school football, the level of communication between a coach and a huddle. So perhaps that's why Sayreville's keeping the ball on that side as well. Another reason, perhaps. Oh, a little double handoff there. The ball's on the ground, and East Brunswick has it again. East Brunswick has capitalized on every one of these situations that they've been in trouble. Eric Eckhart fell on that ball.
And I can't, argue. George Najar has had a great record, but you're moving the ball great. I just, a double handoff there. There's just too much, that can go wrong. And I say that, yet, maybe that play ends up in the touchdown. But that's just, especially how Sayreville's been with the ball there. You've been moving the ball pretty good, and try that. I think that's a little bit risky there. And
it may have been four down territory, as we talked earlier in the game. 2 3-yard runs, and they would have had the first down. There's a handoff up the middle. I think that was Garcia off the right tackle, tripped up for a very short game. Number 70 for Sayreville was in on that tackle. That was Tyler Danielson.
And if you're just joining us now, that's a 4th turnover for Sayreville in this game. So really not helping themselves out this game.
All were fumbles, and all were, once again, I'm mentioning this, all were right about on the same part of the field, on the same side of the field.
You're right.
That's 3 of the 4 fumbles between the 25 and the 15-yard line of the Bears. Bobby Taco in motion. A little misdirection there by the Bears. And a screen pass out to the left side. That's Garcia has it. And he's forced out of bounds, but a first down for East Brunswick. A nice hit on the play by Sayreville, number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez, but the Bears got exactly what they wanted there. A gain of 17 yards, I believe, and an East Brunswick Bears first down.
Nice job. A lot of parts worked on that. Offensive line did a great job of giving Nixon time. Nixon made a perfect pass to Garcia. Garcia really made that catch. I think that catch was a little bit more difficult than he made it look there.
He's a tremendous athlete, Garcia. He's been in all phases of the game, among the most important players for the Bears this season. Zhang in motion, a handoff up the middle, actually a fake handoff. It's Nixon the first time he's broken through, and it's going to be a first down run for Randall Nixon.
Almost broke that, and that's, I was mentioning this a couple games, that's, I think, one part of Nixon's game that he's got a lot better with, that read of one to give the ball to the fullback and one to keep him himself. I think last year he struggled with that a little bit, but this year he's much better with that.
A 10-yard run on the quarterback keeper for Nixon, takes the ball out to the 47. Nixon now moving the ball for the Bears. He's in the shotgun again. Calling the signals. Zhang is in motion, and you're going to have offside penalties against Sayreville. One of the Sayreville players, the left end, number 79, Augustine Cisse. Looked like he jumped a little early, and it is 5-yard offside penalty against Sayreville. We were talking about running the clock before, and the clock continues to run now as East Brunswick has picked up 2 consecutive first downs, and now a nice short 1st and 5 situation with 3:15 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Zhang in motion. Nixon gives up the middle. Nearly hit the hole there. That was Sergio Garcia with a gain of 3.5, close to 4, but it looked like it had potential for much more as he nearly found daylight in the secondary of Sayreville.
And that penalty, that offside, just to show you how important, normally this would be a 3rd and about 2. Now it's, a 2nd and 2. You have a couple plays to make this first down now.
And that, again, allows East Brunswick to use a little more clock, use a few more plays, and most importantly, keep this drive moving forward toward the Sayreville end zone. Nixon in the shotgun, calling signals. Long count, handoff of the middle. I think he had some trouble with the snap again there because the handoff didn't get as cleanly to Garcia as he had wanted. A loss of 1 yard on the play, 3rd and 3 yards from the Sayreville 47.
And the one problem where you do go shotgun with that formation is, as Sayreville, you can really key on Nixon or Garcia with, the running play there. So you know you're not going to get hurt by anyone else. So, Sayreville's really keying in on that now.
And Coach Marcus Borden has hoped to set up the run by using the pass in so many occasions here. And now we have really no running back here. It's only Nixon in the backfield. 5 receivers set. All 5 are out in the pattern. Nixon with the short pass. Eckert's open, but the ball falls incomplete. Intended for number 28, Eric Eckhart. Perhaps could have had the first down there. He had some space, but unfortunately the ball falls to the turf.
Yeah, almost looked like he, try to catch it with his arms instead of his hands there, but at the very least, as we've been saying, East Brunswick did take some time off the clock. They've changed the field position here, so it's up to the Bears defense once again here.
What do you think of this choice?
Yeah, I agree with it. The way their defenses have been playing, I don't think you take a chance here and pin Sayreville back a little bit.
Yep, pick up the extra 20 or 25 yards if you can on this punt. They're punting from the Sayreville 46-yard line, so they'll hope to get them down near their 20. Garcia takes the snap, The kick, it's going to bounce, which probably works in East Brunswick's favor. It bounces inside the 25, down to the 23-yard line. A nice punt by Garcia, and I think that picks up exactly what East Brunswick wanted. 23 yards from the punt. Sayreville has only a minute and 28 seconds left with the wind. And again, I think we've seen it most important in the kicking game. One of the 4 Sayreville fumbles happened as they were trying to receive one of the punts, and that could have been wind aided. The ball probably added another 15 or 20 yards in the air as a result of the wind and made it perhaps more difficult to catch as well. Quarterback for Sayreville rolls to his left, throws. He has an open man. That's number 7, Rodriguez. The pass complete, wrestled down. Number 86, Russ Dubov on the coverage and makes the tackle. Gain of 8 yards. 8 yards on the reception. That was Margris.
I'd be very,
to Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'd be very tempted as a cornerback. Probably not the right thing to do, but they've been running that out pattern each time to kind of jump that route, but probably doing the smart thing and let him, catch it in front of you.
Number 21, Knight. They've had some success with this play, running off the left tackle. He will pick up the first down, a gain of 4 yards. The officials stopping the clock momentarily because of the first down. The chains will move, the ball will be spotted, and then the clock will be up and rolling again. Sayreville now at their own 34-yard line, 1st and 10, as we approach 30 seconds to play in the third quarter. Motion. And stacked up. That was number 72 by East Brunswick, was the first man there, and that was 72 for the Bears is Chris Santiago, our homecoming king tonight. Another tackle for a loss of 4 yards on the play in the Sayreville backfield. You had talked, Rich, about them running left so often. That time they tried to run right and they ran into a wall of East Brunswick tacklers.
Yep.
Now the referee, holds the ball up in the air, marking the end of the third quarter of play. 12 minutes remain. Your score, the East Brunswick Bears 6, the Sayreville Bombers 0.
And a good response by East Brunswick to start that third quarter. Couple notes here of some of the East Brunswick sports teams. Girls soccer and Coach Brady are currently 13-3-1, and their next game is going to be Tuesday, October 24th, and that will be the start of the GMC tournament. Coming off a great win against Woodbridge the other day, 3-0, and believe they got the #1 seed in the tournament. Boys soccer and Coach McGibbon are currently 10-5-1, and their next game is also in the GMC tournament, which will be Monday, October 23rd for them. Boys cross country and Coach Harnett are currently 3-3, and they have a meet Tuesday, October 24th versus Edison. Girls cross country and Coach Talbot have the GMC championships coming up on Saturday, October 28th. Field hockey and Coach Todorov played Monroe in the GMC tournament today. I'm not sure how that turned out. Girls tennis and Coach Grant are 14-0. I know they just recently won the Group 4 state title. They won the GMC championships, and we'll get back to the other teams in a minute.
2nd down and 14, back to live action. Sayreville rolling right, looking deep. He's got a man open. Does he hold on? He does.
You know what that was there, Kevin? That was the old out and up right there. They've been running that out most of the night there, and if I was a cornerback and bid on that, I would have, like I was talking about, been beat as well. But big play for Sayreville right there.
The receiver was number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez, and Rich, you had mentioned that play as early as the first quarter today, talking about the danger of the out and up. They sold the out, and Rodriguez broke in the up, and he was open. A nice pass, too, by Margaret. Put it right on the button. A pretty acrobatic catch as well. There's the double handoff again, this time number 2, Adam Curry, up the middle.
And just to finish those last two teams here, gymnastics and Coach Gatner are 3-5, and their next meet is Wednesday, October 25th. And girls volleyball and Coach Strauss, not a bad record here, 24-0, and they will play next Monday, October 23rd in the GMC tournament.
24-0, they must play every day. Handoff. That's Curry again. We've seen him a lot here in the third, actually in the second half. Curry tries the right end. A penalty marker on the, oh, I'm sorry, no, that was just the ball coming across. A gain of 4 yards, 3rd down and 1 for Sayreville from inside the East Brunswick 30. Let's call it the 29-yard line. Under 11 minutes to play here. Sayreville again getting deep into the East Brunswick territory, nearing the red zone, but this is where they have broken down so far tonight. Number 21 for Sayreville, that's Michael Knight with a strong run around the right end. A pickup of 18 yards and a Sayreville Bomber first down. This now the deepest that Sayreville has been. 1st and 10, or perhaps 1st and goal from just inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal for the Bombers.
And this is where, you know, not saying Sayreville's going to score, but that missed extra point for East Brunswick definitely looms large here if Sayreville is able to get into the end zone. Coach
Borden will be looking for his defense to rise one more time here. Margaret gives to Knight. Knight tries the right side. He's stopped up by a lot, but now it's a pushing battle as Knight pushes forward for 2 or 3 extra yards. The East Brunswick defense did a nice job there of initially slowing up Knight, but then it became almost a rugby-esque scrum as they pushed forward to gain an extra 2 or 3 on that play. Let's give him a gain of 3 yards. 2nd and goal now from the 6. I want to believe we're not going to see another double handoff at this point.
No, I don't think so.
Margaret comes to the line. Handoff, this time trying the left-hand side. Pulled down, the ball may be loose. The ball is definitely loose. East Brunswick is pointing in their direction. Could this be the 5th fumble of tonight's game? East Brunswick is still pointing, and now, most importantly, one of the referees finally points. East Brunswick ball, 1st down.
Wow.
Well, it wasn't a double handoff that time. They tried the left side, and I think it was Knight again who just had the ball stripped. And as he crossed the 5-yard line, I saw him initially get turned around. It looked like one arm that just, instead of tackling the body, kind of pulled at the ball. And right away, the East Brunswick players jumped up on that ball. They've ball hawked tonight, and that has been the difference in the game.
And I'll tell you what, too, you know, not only getting the ball loose, but to be able to come up with the ball consistently is a great job as well.
Yeah, when they've had their opportunity, they've taken advantage defensively with the turnovers. And now Nixon in the shadow of his own goal. He's rolling to the left. A little option play. He stopped for a loss on the play. Loss of probably 2 yards to his 3-yard line. East Brunswick begins this drive with a 1st and 10 from their own 5. Loss of at least 1 on that play. I'll call it a loss of 2. 2nd and 12 from their own 2-yard line. And now East Brunswick is in a tough spot, a tough position. It's been their defense which has done the job all night, and now the job of the offense is to get this ball up and out of this area to give their defense a chance. Handoff up the middle. Looks like a gain on that play, a gain of 1 or 2. That was Bobby Taco with the strong run up the middle. Not much of a gain, but most importantly, he did push the pile forward for 2 yards. 3rd down and 10 now from the 5-yard line. The Bears need a positive play here.
Yep, they love a 1st down here. You're going to stay in that tight formation here. Watch maybe Eckhart releasing here as a tight end.
Full house backfield. Nixon under center. Takes it, and he is looking to pass. That was well covered. You called that right, Rich. It was a Eckhart released quickly off the tight end, but 2 players from Sayreville, led by number 4, Patrick Monaco, on the coverage. They weren't really fooled by that play, but a great call by Coach Borden, I think, too. You have to try to stretch him out a little bit at that moment. And Nixon makes a smart decision there.
Yeah.
It puts that ball in a place where if Eckhart couldn't make a break on it, it was only going to fall incomplete.
Right.
Sergio Garcia, who has punted several times tonight, now lining up for his most important punt in his own end zone. 3 yards from the back of his own end zone. The snap is low. Garcia no problem handling it, but the punt off the side of his foot, it will take an East Brunswick bounce. But Sayreville will take over from the East Brunswick 32-yard line. And the question is, did East Brunswick do enough now? Did they give their defense enough field position to once again hold Sayreville out of the end zone?
We'll see. And one thing of note also, if Sayreville does get in, is was just looking. Their kicker was one of the best kickers in the area last year. Bobby Woods had 5 field goals and 48 kicking points, which was the top. So
he would be kicking into that a stiff wind too, though, so that would be a good challenge for him. Here's the wide receiver screen. It's complete with only 1 man to beat. Rodriguez did beat that first man, but a nice recovery by number 30 for East Brunswick. I think that was Bobby Taco who came over and made a touchdown-saving tackle. Gain of 8 yards, 2nd and a long 2 for the Bombers. The ball at the 23 of the Bears. Sayreville coming to the line of scrimmage now. Again, the momentum seems to be shifting towards Sayreville, at least with positive gains on most plays here in the second half. There's number 21, Knight, up the middle, still alive. Wrestled down.
21 right on the carry. Knight on the carry.
And those ball carriers got to be careful. I mean, with the turnover, it still looks to me like they're kind of holding that ball out with one hand, where it's easy for East Brunswick to kind of rip that out.
Gain of 3 yards was good enough for a Sayreville Bomber first down. 1st and 10 for Sayreville from the East Brunswick 20. Margus under center. Quick screen out to the left. It's Rodriguez. He's slowed down initially by number 86 for the Bears. That was Russ Dubov. Got him around the waist, and that was important because it allowed the East Brunswick defense to catch up and get in and help him on that tackle. Gain of 4 yards.
And East Brunswick is doing a nice job defensively of swarming to the ball. When one player makes a hit, that everyone's going to the ball carrier.
And you see now Sayreville clearly now is trying to spread out this East Brunswick defense, trying to hit the edges on those quick wide receiver screens. 2nd and a long 6 for Sayreville.
Is that double handoff again?
Yes, and it stopped very well by the interior of the East Brunswick linebacking crew. The ball loose again. Bobby Taco has the ball. The play is going to be whistled dead. But once again, the ball popping out. I think that was number 34, Sergio Garcia, with a big hit in the center of the East Brunswick defense. No gain on the play. Maybe a gain of 1. 3rd and a long 5, probably 6. The ball at the just outside the 15-yard line. 4 down territory for Sayreville, Rich?
I think so. Just they haven't been able to move the ball. I think a field goal doesn't, really do you much. Although, another field goal will tie it.
There's a pass. He has a man open. The pass high, nearly caught, but it falls down to the turf. Let's see who it was in coverage. There was Peter Zhang, number 21, who was rotating quickly to put pressure on the Sayreville receiver in the play. The pass intended once again for Ronaldo Rodriguez, who's been very dangerous here as the night has progressed. 5 minutes and 2 seconds left. First major decision for Sayreville. I think you're right, though. I think they're going for this.
I'll tell you, I definitely, if I'm East Brunswick, I mean, not that you want to waste the time out, but I definitely have 2 people on Rodriguez here. And, I mean, it would be a gutsy call, but I'll tell you, a run might work in this. It'd take a lot of guts to run the ball here, but.
They are rotating double coverage toward Rodriguez. Now they roll right. 2 men in the pattern. The pass to Rodriguez is caught inside the 5-yard line down to the 3. First down, Sayreville.
And, you know, can't lose him. I mean, somehow he came in and East Brunswick lost where it was. That's one guy you want to know where he is. And Sayreville did a nice thing there. They had Rodriguez run a route inside, and they kind of wheeled the running back up the sideline. So that maybe got the attention of a couple guys that were guarding him. But regardless, huge, pickup there by Sayreville to get the first down.
Yeah, I think Michael Knight, number 21, pulled the initial coverage on Rodriguez, pulled him out wide, and Rodriguez really found a nice little hole in the center there. Now Sayreville, first and goal from the 3. Ball's loose once again. Ball's loose once again. Sergio Garcia is pointing East Brunswick way, but I don't think there was an East Brunswick defender in that area.
And you get a good look there on the TV screen. No green shirts even close. So.
No, three white shirts were around that ball that time. But, Sergio figured, hey, point our way. Every time the ball's gone down, we've got on the end of it. 5 fumbles tonight, to repeat. 5 fumbles by Sayreville. 5 turnovers. All fumbles, all recovered by East Brunswick. That last fumble was recovered by Sayreville. But they lose 5 yards, which is very important right here. Second and goal now from the 8-yard line, although Sayreville with a little more room to operate now. Margus under center. Motion to the left. Now it moves back to the right. Margus rolls left. He's throwing. The pass incomplete.
And a good no call there. There was a little contact, but nothing to affect it there.
That was number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez. And I do spend some of my time as a soccer coach here at East Brunswick High School, and I think Mr. Rodriguez took a little bit of a dive.
Exactly,
we see that sometimes on the soccer field, a player, a little contact, and they very demonstratively go to the turf. And I think that's what Rodriguez did there, trying to get a call. And once the ball is incomplete, hey, why not?
Yeah.
Why not try to sell it?
I've seen it work many times in many sports. So.
And you saw a little hush at a moment for the East Brunswick crowd as they were looking around, scanning to see if a flag came down. Rodriguez is out to the right now.
And I watched number 2 on a little.
They are rolling this way. Margus looking for time, rolling right. He's still behind the line of scrimmage, lofts it up in the back of the end zone. The Sayreville receiver got his hands on it, but it falls incomplete.
And you have to give a lot of credit to the East Brunswick secondary there, because Margus had a ton of time there to make a decision, and the defensive backs on East Brunswick did not give up and had some great coverage for it. That had to be at least 7-8 seconds.
And once again, it's Ronaldo Rodriguez. And you get the idea that Margus looked to the left, but maybe the entire time that was to set up Rodriguez to get him lost somewhere in the secondary of East Brunswick. And once again, the discipline by the East Brunswick secondary to not lose him. The pass by Margus was a little high, but he was well covered. 4th and goal from the 7. Margus rolling to his left, sets, plants, throws high in the end zone, and it is caught. And I tell you, there was good coverage on that play by East Brunswick. Number 30, Bobby Taco, was right there. I think number 21, that may have been Peter Sheng, was right there. He was well covered. He jumped up. He jumped up.
I don't know how that got through. I really don't.
Ronaldo Rodriguez, 5'11", 150, leaped into the air and took that ball out of the late October night. And the score 6-6, and now we're lining up for the play of the game. Number 10, Bobby Woods from Sayreville on to attempt the all-important extra point. 3:29 remaining, 4th quarter. The snap is down. Woods' kick. It looks good. It is good. Sayreville takes a 7-6 lead with 3:29 remaining in this ball game.
And East Brunswick's got to regroup here. I know they feel horrible, but there's plenty of time left. They have their timeouts. What would really be helpful to them right now is a good kick return where they get some good field position. So although they could have maybe iced the game there, they have to regroup and come back here.
And East Brunswick has had some chances offensively, and now they're going to have to ask their offense to make the biggest contribution to the game right now, which is going to be to begin a good kickoff return. And they will be wind aided on this kickoff return, but then they need their offense, and they've shown flashes of it tonight. We've seen Eckhart get himself open. We've seen him be dangerous. We've seen Nixon throw the ball very well in situations where he has time.
I still can't believe that ball got through. I was just waiting for it to be deflected or picked off by the Bears. So.
Yeah, and like I said, it looked like coverage was good. It was just a better play by the quarterback throwing the ball in a one place where no one but Rodriguez could catch it. And Rodriguez, to his credit, went up in the air and made a reception that really gives Sayreville the driver's seat here in this game. A great kick by Sayreville. This is not going to be the field position that East Brunswick is looking for. The kick looked like it was heading out of bounds, and the East Brunswick kick returner let it bounce, thinking it was going out, and the ball just kind of spun dead at the 13-yard line. By the time he picked it up and tried to advance it forward, the Sayreville pursuit was already there. He gets it only about 2 yards to the 15. East Brunswick takes over, 1st and 10, their own 15-yard line, 85 yards from the end zone, and they're going to need to work quickly. 3:22 left, 4th quarter.
Maybe only somewhat saving grace too is, a field goal will win it. They have the wind to their back, but they've had some trouble with the kicking game. Nixon
now looks left. The pass falls incomplete.
And even if they complete that pass, 4 or 5 yard routes aren't going to help you too much when you have to go as far as you have to go in this amount of time.
Although it does seem in this condition, it has been the 4 or 5 yard pass that Eckhart has been able to turn into the 40 and 50 yards. So I think, coach is looking to get the ball into Eckhart's hand out wide with maybe one man to beat, as opposed to trying to get through the heart of the Sayreville defense. 5 receiver set. Nixon from the shotgun. Good snap, screen. And that one won't work for East Brunswick. They may have been setting up a double pass there. It looked like that was close to a lateral, the pass to number 3, Doug Fisher. I'm not sure if it was forward or if it was a lateral, but either way, it did not work out well for East Brunswick. A loss of 7 yards, 3rd down, and 17 now for the Bears. Clock running under 3 minutes. There is a timeout on the field.
Yeah, I think they were personnel. They weren't happy with maybe too many men on the field, or weren't happy with who they had out there. So.
Yeah, Sayreville calls that timeout here with 2:43 remaining in the 4th quarter. 3rd down, 17 yards to go. East Brunswick needs a big play. As we see Coach Borden addressing his troops. I think we are in 4-down territory. I know East Brunswick still has all of their timeouts, and maybe they would punt it away if they are able. If they have an incomplete pass here, there would still be a lot of time, but that would be asking a lot again from the defense. But in this field position, the situation becomes very tough.
Right. Yeah. I mean, only way I could see it maybe going forward if it's a 4th and maybe like a 1 or something maybe. But, like you said, with all that time left, you have your timeouts. If you get the, punt team on, you kick it off, you're still going to have about 2 minutes left, so. Like you said, the big problem was the kickoff where East Brunswick thought the ball was going out of bounds and then, got it late and kind of put themselves in this hole.
East Brunswick trying to snap what is now a 3-game losing streak. Looked well on its way. A 6-0 lead for 45 of the 48 minutes of tonight's game. But now, under 3 minutes, Sayreville a 1-point lead. Nixon takes the snap, looking down the middle. The pass deflected, intended for Sergio Garcia up the middle, broken up by number 4 for Sayreville. That was Patrick Monaco on the coverage.
Well, I think
it's a big choice here.
Yeah,
the clock is stopped.
I think you got a punt here.
Yeah, and I think Coach Borden heeding your advice, but now their defense is going to need to stop without yielding 1 first down. So, Coach is putting it on his defense again, and his defense has been the strength of the game tonight.
If it's a 4th and manageable, this is, tough. Maybe you go for it, but like you said, it is on the defense now, unless somehow East Brunswick can get another, turnover with the botched catch on the punt.
And I think George Nader just yelled out to his kids. I think he might be telling them, do not catch this ball. Just let it bounce dead. There's no reason to. Tough snap. Sergio Garcia, wonderful job to recover it. Let's see if he touches it. He does. He bobbles it momentarily. That's Michael Knight now. He has some space down the right sideline. Fakes inside. He's taken down. He picked up 15 yards on that punt return. A dangerous split second as the ball seemed to bobble for a moment in his hands, but he does a nice job. Michael Knight has had a strong game today. We've seen him be successful on the ground in the return game. Sayreville takes over 1st and 10 from the East Brunswick 37-yard line. Hey, field position tonight has been really in Sayreville's favor, and the East Brunswick Bears defense has done a great job playing most of this game in their own territory, forcing the turnovers and keeping the ball alive. But obviously that's a lot to ask of your defense when it's always a short field.
Yep. They were one play away, a 4th down play where they gave up the touchdown. So
Margaret's under center. Probably going to see a steady diet of running plays. Here's 21 Knight trying the right side. He finds a hole. He finds about 5 yards. Number 76 for East Brunswick, Tom Correa on the tackle. Timeout on the field. Timeout called by East Brunswick. A gain of 3 yards, possibly 4. We'll give him 3 yards. 2nd down and 7 for Sayreville. The ball inside the East Brunswick 35 to the 34.
And right now, you know, Sayreville, I'd be shocked if they were to throw the ball. So if I'm Coach Bourne here, I say, listen, they're going to run the ball. I think even 3 yards is too much here. You need to get a stop here. If they throw the ball, I mean, possibly might try it on 3rd down here, but you know they're going to be running the ball. Defense has to step up and you know, not let them get any yards here.
And considering what the Sayreville, you know, and we have to praise the Sayreville defense. They've done a nice job against the spread offense of East Brunswick. I think if I'm Coach Najar here, I don't throw the ball. I let that clock run as low as we can, get his defense back on the field. Perhaps with a punt, pin East Brunswick down deep and make East Brunswick go a very long way, because to this point, they really haven't, outside of one drive, shown the ability to move the ball that great a distance in that short a time. 2:16 remaining, 2nd and 7 for the Bombers from the East Brunswick 34. Margaret's under center. Motion to the right, handoff to the left. Number 42 for Sayreville, fullback Nick Cadia. Timeout on the field, timeout called by East Brunswick. Actually, that was number 41 on the handoff. That was John Nestvogel for Sayreville. First time we've said his name tonight. First carry by him. Perhaps a good hands member here late in the game with the number of fumbles. Yeah, they're trying. I'm sure they're looking for someone to secure the ball. He picks up 1 yard there. 3rd and a long 5.
And East Brunswick has 1 timeout remaining here. So if Sayreville were to get a 1st down here for, you know, unless something really crazy happened, it'd probably be the game.
Yeah, East Brunswick will need a stop here. They can get another timeout with about 2:05 left. They would have the ball with, then if Sayreville punts, they would have the ball with 2 minutes left. Out of timeouts, but in high school with the ball stopping on every 1st down, and with the East Brunswick spread offense, I think the challenge will be to get positive yardage on every play and see if they can move the ball down the field. Again, they only need 3 points, a field goal, and they do have the wind at their back. But right now, the problem is it's Sayreville ball. It's 3rd and a long 5. Margaret under center. Motion to the right, and now back to the left. Margaret will throw. He rolls. He throws. It's complete. No, it's incomplete.
He should have had, I mean, gutsy call there by Coach Najar there.
Number 21, that was Michael Knight, the intended receiver. And I tell you, Sayreville fooled everyone.
Hey, I like that call. I mean, you know, has the guts to run that. I like that call to, you know, play to win the game. East Brunswick, I think from where we saw, I think he just dropped it. I thought, you know, he was open. I think he just dropped the ball.
Yeah, and I think he had the first game, and it would have been game over had he held on. But now East Brunswick has a chance, and perhaps just as importantly, has a timeout. Sayreville to punt.
One thing here, if you're Sayreville, you do not want to punt this ball into the end zone so you get inside the 20. Then you only get a net of about 11 yards. So,
can we get a punt return here for East Brunswick? Nearly blocked, and it's going to be roughing the kicker, and it's not going to matter where the ball is at all because there's a penalty marker on the play. East Brunswick went for the block, and maybe you don't blame them on that. If they can get a block there, maybe that's the big play that turns the game around, but this penalty is going to effectively end the game.
And I think it's a roughing you would hope for East Brunswick, maybe not a running into, but...
Let's see what the yardage is awarded here.
I think I could be wrong. I think that was a signal. Was that for running into?
I'm not sure. Again, with the difference between the high school rules, I'm not sure if that's a 5-yard, if it's a 15.
I'm not sure. I think he might have called a running into. If that's the case, I think it's going to be a little bit short, where it'll be about a 4th and 1 here, or 4th and a few inches. I don't think it's. I think that's a running into and not a roughing. So it'll be about a 4th and maybe a half a yard.
And now Sayreville, I believe, is going to call a timeout. Well, you have a timeout on the field. Timeout called by Sayreville. You're right. So now it's going to be a 4th down and 2. Does this change Coach George Najar's mind? I think it may.
I say, yeah. What are you going to gain if you punt the ball here? You're going to gain. I mean, which could be important, but you're going to gain at the best 25 yards. Is it worth it? Or if you go for it and make it, the game's over. So you got to kind of weigh that.
And either way, even if you don't make it, East Brunswick is still 70 yards away from the end zone.
And I think it was a fortunate call of being just running into than roughing, because I think he did get a pretty good piece of him. But, you know, as a ref, if you're not quite sure of the call, I guess you want to err on the side of where, you know, the players, you know, decide the game. But I think that was a pretty aggressive, you know, running into the kicker call. So I think East Brunswick was fortunate there.
Yeah, and it did look like they were coming for the block. And, you know, in that situation, if you see you have an open path, and it did look like East Brunswick had 2 players very close to blocking that kick. The problem, the downside of it is if you don't get a piece of it, you are going to wind up giving up the penalty. And you know what? That could be another reason Coach Najar has decided to go for this as well. Seeing how close that was to being blocked, maybe he doesn't want to risk a block. Perhaps that's the only way you lose this game is a block kick for a touchdown here. So it's going to be a very tight formation now for Sayreville on 4th and 2. Hand off to number 21, Michael Knight. It's going to be close, but I do think he has it.
Yeah.
Knight off the right tackle. It was Sergio Garcia, number 34, in on the tackle, but not until after he is across the 20-yard line. And that will give Sayreville, I'm sorry, the 25-yard line, that will give Sayreville all the yardage they need for a first down with 1:45 remaining in the 4th quarter. East Brunswick has 1 timeout remaining. Sayreville has but to run 3 plays to end this game.
And for as good as East Brunswick's defense played, they needed 1 more stop, and we're a little bit short in being able to stop them there.
Sayreville in victory formation to take a knee here, and they're waiting every last second for the clock to tick down. Quarterback Margris takes the knee.
And
1:15.
And the 25-second clock starts when the ball is spotted. And East Brunswick waited a little there.
East Brunswick taking the timeout with 1:10 remaining. But again, Sayreville, it looks to me, will need two more snaps.
Right.
I don't think East Brunswick is going to get a chance to get this ball back.
By the time the ball spotted, even though they just, so you might possibly see Sayreville maybe just run the quarterback into the line just to take up a little bit more time to make sure that, you know, that the time will run off. Because right now, if we just looked at the 25-second clock, that would be 50 seconds where we have a you know, difference of 20.
But yeah, that 20 is probably going to be spent in simply spotting the ball. Well,
I mean, I said it last time, the JP, another, you know, really tough loss. East Brunswick, as much as, you know, Sayreville really deserved, you know, a better result than this, how they played.
But yeah, it's hard to say though too, because East Brunswick deserved to win for their own merit. I mean, they did recover the fumbles, and Sayreville in some ways was deserving to lose for giving up this many fumbles. I think we go back to the East Brunswick drive late in the 2nd quarter, or midway through the 2nd quarter, when they had the ball at the 12-yard line, 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line, and did not get points. We had the missed field goal, but had chances there. 12 yards away, you know, to get a 2nd score on the board, and that turns out now with 40 seconds remaining here in the 4th quarter to be the difference. 35 seconds now. Sayreville waiting as long as they can to snap this ball. The snap, the knee. And now we are under 25 seconds. The ball will be spotted. The clock will run down. East Brunswick powerless to stop it at this point. We're inside 10 seconds to play. The final score will be tonight, the Sayreville Bombers 7, East Brunswick 6. The difference in the game, a touchdown pass from Sayreville quarterback Mark Margris to number 7, Ronaldo Rodriguez. A fantastic catch. The extra point by Bobby Woods, the excellent kicker for Sayreville, makes the difference, and a 7-6 win. Rich, a very tough night, obviously, for East Brunswick.
Tough to swallow. Sayreville kind of can go off the field feeling they almost stole one, although they did, make the plays at the end that they needed to make. And Sayreville's been involved in a couple games where they've won close games. And East Brunswick, unfortunately, this season has been on the short end of the stick on a couple of close games. So be interesting to see East Brunswick with the games remaining, how they come back and see if they can keep their heads up after a tough loss tonight.
Yeah, they go to Edison next week, another Red Division showdown, another Central Jersey Group 4 school, so they're going to look to bounce back in that game to break this losing streak. You kind of feel that East Brunswick deserves a little better. A 20-19 loss 2 weeks ago, a loss to Piscataway after having a 7-6 halftime lead the week before that, a 7-6 loss tonight. But East Brunswick is playing well. The kids are playing hard. Yeah. Coach Borden is getting an excellent effort out of the kids. They just lack that one play, that one difference-making play seems to continually fall in the hands of the other team.
And I think that's a good point also, Kevin, that they are playing hard. I mean, if I'm Coach Borden here, I tell the guys, listen, you left everything out there on the field. A couple plays here and there didn't go our way, but you got to be happy with the effort.
And it's tough. And it's tough to make that speech more than one time during the year because you have to keep your kids focused and playing well. But I tell you, the way the Red Division looks this year, East Brunswick can beat any team. We've seen that with J.P. Stevens. We've seen that with Piscataway. We've seen it with a good win against a very strong Woodbridge team. Near misses don't really count for much, but Coach Borden will keep his kids positive and focused toward the remaining schedule, which is Edison, at Edison, home against North Brunswick on November 3rd, and then away at Old Bridge on Thanksgiving. And it will be a very exciting completion in those last 3 games of the season. And obviously you have the 10th game as well. But Coach will have the team bounce back. They're ready to win a game, and they will snap the streak because they're playing good football. All right, so that does it for us here at East Brunswick's J. Doyle Field. The final score, one final time. Sayreville 7, East Brunswick 6. And thank you for Rich Whalen. This is Kevin Brady. Have a good evening.